Hey everyone, we're back with another edition of the Neutral Extra Battle. Today we've got UYU's SpaghettiRip, Spag. Y'all may know him from the Tekken World Tour. We're going to keep the sort of theme that we did with the Super Joe Monday episode of using people as vehicles to talk about issues and things happening in the fighting game community. So let's get to that two-player screen. What's good, what's good?
How's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Not a problem. I've been... Ever since, Arslan came on the scene and sort of reminded people that there was more than just like 3 regions for fighting games, the US, Europe, and South Korea, and, for Street Fighter Japan, you were definitely somebody who came to mind for me because you've always been sort of saying that, there's more than like the 4 major regions. And you've been doing the second thing for a while. This isn't like some like casual thing you sort of picked up in the last year, right?
Yeah, no, I've been only Tekken for as long as I can remember. Like pretty much the only game that I play, and I've been deeply involved in the community for a pretty long time now here.
So what made you? Because you're partnered with UYU. You did the UYU Go tournament towards the end of the season. Mm-hmm. What made you decide that, like, you had to be the person to sort of put the Middle East on the map in a more holistic way than, just sponsoring a player?
Well, obviously, because I'm Pakistani, and, I have a bit more of a connection personally to the Middle East and to Pakistan, that region. And when Asim, who is one of the top players in Europe, when he was from Pakistan. When he came to London, he moved when Tekken 6 was out. That's when we first kind of got a glimpse into the Pakistani scene and how strong those guys were, because they didn't have really a platform to showcase their skills before that. And this guy Asim, he won every single tournament pretty much in the UK and like Europe as well back then when he came. And then he also told us he was unbeatable, and he told us, look, I'm not even the best from Pakistan. And then ever since he said that, we had us guys in London and in the UK, we took this seriously, right? Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of Pakistanis even now, that play Tekken at high level in UK and Europe. So for me, it was like I knew that they were out there, that they were strong, that they were grinding. A part of me didn't really believe that they were like strong enough to beat Koreans consistently, but in my heart, I knew, if Asim is telling me that these guys are this strong, then there must be some truth in it. And of course, lo and behold, Arslan came out and he proved it.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because it shouldn't surprise people, I think, at this point that there are these hidden communities, right? Mm-hmm. We had Mena in my more preferred game is Street Fighter. I'm becoming a Tekken fan. But in Street Fighter, we had Mena RD, right? Like, Mena RD was that year that he won the Capcom Cup. What a lot of people may not remember, because, people have that revisionist mindset where after he won the Capcom Cup, they're like, oh, yeah, I knew Mena was great. But there was times where he was just grinding it out, top 16, and just showing up to events, being this sort of road warrior. And it wasn't until he won the Capcom Cup that people were like, oh, man, are people in the DR actually nice at fighting games? And then Kaba came out, and people were like, oh, it's not just Mena. Right, and it's so weird to me that people have this mindset that, like, well, these fighting games are solved. You're either, if you're a good Tekken player, then you're probably from South Korea. If you're a good Street Fighter player, you're probably from Japan. And then, like, people just seem to sleep on these other scenes.
Yeah, it's because they've been dominant for so long, right? If there's like, for example, Korea, you make a good example of Korea. They've been dominant and they've been putting themselves on the map since the early Tekkens, right? On video, on YouTube, and then in tournament as well. They've been winning everything, and in order to undo that, it takes a lot. It takes a lot, right? So for Tekken, using Tekken as an example, even when Arslan beat Ni at the first time he beat him was in Dubai. It was a tournament in Dubai, and everybody was saying the only reason he beat Ni was because there were some personal problems with Ni. Ni's trophies got destroyed at Green Arcade, and he was feeling really upset about it. So that's why he wasn't quite up to par. And I was saying, look, man, I analyzed one of the matches that Arslan had with him, and I'm like, dude, Arslan beat him fair and square and really played that matchup correct. And people are like, no, Spag, you're an idiot. One guy called me a bigot. Someone was like, you're a bigot. Why would you say that? People really got angry at me for saying that Arslan beat him fairly. And it was only until Evo Japan, when he won that with that crazy losers run, that people started to respect this man. And then, but then even that wasn't enough, because there were, I'm not going to call any names out, yeah? But there were some people high up in the FGC who were like, I don't think Arslan's going to get top 8 at Evo Vegas, man. Evo Japan is one thing, but Evo Vegas is another thing. This man didn't lose a single match, I feel like, until he got to grand finals. So he stayed in winners and won that all the way through, demolished the whole of the American scene, and, you know, really showed. So that's kind of when people took notice. But again, and I'm sorry for rambling on, but
no, you're good.
People didn't really respect the Pakistani scene that much, because I was saying, look, this is the strength of Pakistan, and some people got angry at me for that as well, saying, look, it's not Pakistan, it's just Arslan. It's just Arslan, it's not Pakistan. Stop saying Pakistan like everyone was able to win Evo. And then, you know, Tokyo Masters happened, which is one of the highest level master events of the year, because it's in Japan. It's at the Namco HQ. Mm-hmm. All the Koreans that are top level, it's very, very cheap for them to get there. They all travel to Japan. So you look at the bracket, it is stacked with the top Japanese players, the top Korean players, and, you know, you have a few Americans here and there as well. And the number 1 and number 2 in that tournament was Atif Butt and Waste Honey. They came first and second, and looking at the results board, where you just see 2 Pakistani flags at the top and everyone else Korea, Japan, and I'm like, that's what it took for people to respect Pakistan. It took a lot, you know, and it's kind of crazy if you think about it, how much they accomplished in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, you know, that is crazy. And one of the things I think is wild to me, when people were saying, oh man, it can't be the Pakistani scene, it's just Arslan. It's like, yeah. You can't get that good playing by yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
that's exactly what
right.
I was saying as well.
When we talk, what's so crazy to me about that whole situation, and it's gonna lead into the next topic of the show, is that when we talk about the Koreans in Tekken, and especially and also the Japanese and all fighters, right, is we say, well, oh, they're so good because they've got really good internet, so like, even if the netcode's bad, you know, the internet's amazing, and they still have arcades, and, you know, Bonchan can just phone up Daigo and, like, go across the street and play him, and, you know, that's why these guys play the tippy top, right, because they get to, you know, all of the skill is concentrated into one area. And then you have somebody like Arslan come through, whoop everybody, and they're like, well, it's just Arslan. It's like, well, wait a second. If you're saying that the reason the Korean and the Japanese are so good is because they're playing with the tippy top all the time, and that's what makes them good. And, you know, you say, like, why some of the North American players fall off is because, like, they can't play together all the time. And one of the reasons we saw such a resurgence of, you know, North American Street Fighter was because of the Street Fighter League, right? It gave them a week to play together nonstop with the top players. And you saw a lot of the North American players sort of rise in performance because of that sort of weak training ground. Mm-hmm. And nobody questioned that. But the second, you know, I can't figure out what it could possibly be.
Yeah.
You know, I'm so confused. I don't know where it could come from, but it seemed so weird to me that people just said it was just Arslan. There was no way that this was like a sampling of an entire scene. And I understand that maybe some of that comes from, well, we haven't seen another Pakistani player come out, so, you know, maybe that's where it could come from. But you can't be that good, right? And just be some prodigy.
Yeah.
Just doesn't seem possible.
It's not possible. Yeah, exactly. So basically, you are the average of your peers. That's what I like to say. That kind of that idiom or that phrase. You are the average of your peers. You know, and you're absolutely right in that. Arslan, how can you get so good if you're not playing with other people that are pushing you to get better? So Pakistan, you know, no one's really spoken about it because they don't actually know, but the Pakistanis have had a long history of legendary players before Arslan could even walk, pretty much, that have been playing at a high level. You know, I was told stories about a player from Tekken 5 times, which was a very long time ago, and in Tekken 5.0, Steve Fox was basically probably one of the most broken characters, or strongest characters, I should say, that Tekken series has ever seen. Tekken 5.0 Steve was basically, if you're not playing Tekken 5 Steve, then you're doing something wrong. And the Pakistanis said that that's why so many Pakistanis play Steve. And I was told about a story about a player who basically was like a legend in Pakistan who taught a lot of the players how to get better at the game. And he didn't even use Steve. He used Ganru, who was it's still a decent character, but nowhere near good as Steve. And he said that this Ganru player never lost. Even though we knew the matchup, we used Steve. We could not beat this Ganru player, and he taught us how to play Tekken. So there are these people that can make. Like Arslan is one of them. These people that are really important. They're figureheads in the community that really help grow a community into what it is. And Pakistan has had that. They've had their legends in the past, and now you can see the fruits of their labor. You got so many strong players now: Awais, Atif, Arslan, Hira, Noman. So many guys that are capable of actually qualifying for the World Tour if they had the chance.
Yeah, and I think you've touched on it on other podcasts you've been on. You were on a podcast, Call Me Tasteless, I think, yes. Towards the end of October. And it's something I've brought up on different things is that one of the things that's held back, a region like Pakistan is unfortunately sort of endemic of the growth of esports in general, and also just the way politics works is these visa issues. Yes. That it's not easy to get out of Pakistan without a visa.
Yeah, it's Pakistan has had like a long history. This war on terror happening in Afghanistan, and obviously Pakistan and Afghanistan are neighboring countries. There have been problems with terrorism, and I think that's the main reason why a lot of countries make it difficult for Pakistanis to travel over to them. And that those issues persist until today as well. It's not anywhere near as bad as it used to be, but those you were still seeing the consequences of that whole period of time. So it's unfortunate, but I think we're getting to a better time now with Pakistan, because obviously Arslan, this man has blown up, and it's crazy because he's so popular now. When I was at Dubai for the tour and the master event there, I was heading home at the airport, checking in, and the guy was saying, "Oh, what's all this equipment?" Because I was traveling with the production team. So they're like, "What's all this equipment for, man?" I was like, "Oh yeah, we do production for a Tekken tournament." And he goes, "Oh, Tekken, so you must know Arslan Ash." Like everyone. I was like, "Are you serious? This guy behind the counter." Everyone knows Arslan. He was put on, all the massive news channels in Pakistan. He's won a bunch of awards. He's been on the cover of Billboard magazine and this and that. He's really, really popular. So I think that having him as like an ambassador is really good, and there's other Pakistanis as well, just to show that they're promoting the country really well. So I'm hoping the government can get involved and help with the visa issues, because I'm sure they can. Pakistan has a big history with sports as well, like cricket and hockey. They've won the Hockey World Cup more than any other country in the world, and those guys need to travel as well. So if they can do it, I'm sure the government can help these esports players as well. And
I also think some of the onus has to go on the Tekken World Tour, right? I think maybe also putting more tournaments. We saw that with Capcom, right? After Menard won the Capcom Cup, we saw more Latin American, South American events to make it easier for the people from those regions to sort of have a chance to compete at the highest level, earn their pro points. Do you think that there's some onus on BAMCO as well to sort of maybe put some more tournaments in areas that are easier for that community to travel to?
I mean, there is a little bit. I mean, the thing is that Arslan's story really began in 2019, with Evo Japan and everything. And by then, all the tournaments that were kind of going to be put on the World Tour for that year were decided, right? And actually, I pushed really hard for a Dubai event, and my whole thing about it was that Dubai is really easy for everyone to get to, including Pakistanis. And they listened. They actually did put a Dubai event in, and it was a master event. And the amount of countries, I think there were like I've never been to a tournament before which has had so many different flags represented. It's Dubai is a central hub in the world for everyone to get to. It's so easy. We saw a bunch of different countries involved, and I think it was brilliant. And they took that decision. Namco made that decision. Namco Twitch, they actively said, let's do a master event in Dubai. It was a risk, but it was a risk that definitely paid off. And I'm hoping, this year will be even better. We'll have more opportunities for Pakistanis to go to tournaments. We did the UYU and a Game One esports tournament Takra Cup. You know,
Yep.
we organized that. And that was also a main reason we did that was in order to open up the doors even more for potential tournaments within Pakistan, you know, and that went better than anyone expected it to. So, you know, the future is bright, I think.
Yeah. Now, before we move on to topics, do you think personally yourself, as someone who has become sort of an ambassador, in a sense, do you think that is there another scene that you've been hearing about now that like people know that you're like the guy putting, you know, Pakistani Tekken on the map? You're kind of helping shine that scene. Are there people reaching out to you being like, yo, you know, I love what you're doing with Pakistan, but you know, this scene, my scene, we're the true Tekken gods.
Yeah, there have been a couple. You know, they're not saying quite like, oh yeah, we're the best we can be. Well, there is one. So
there is
Saudi
one.
Arabia,
I've heard about this.
Saudi Arabia is a country which actually I think even before Pakistan came onto the scene and showed how strong they were. When Sora won ESF in Korea, he's a Jin player, and I think even in Tekken Tag 2, you know, there was a player called Hisham who, with using law, and martial law wasn't a very strong character back then. You know, took a really strong fight to JDCR, who was basically unbeatable in Tag 2. So the Saudi Arabian scene is another one that I'm very close to, and those guys are extremely strong. And I'm hearing about players that people from Saudi Arabia are saying, like, these guys can beat, you know, the top players of Pakistan. In Dubai at the Master event, actually, Arslan was put into losers by a Saudi Arabian player, Luffy. So Saudi Arabia is also very, very strong, and it's another scene which I want to learn more about. I already know a lot of them personally, but I want to learn more about their community. And obviously, I'm getting messages also from the African scene as well, Ivory Coast and that. So and they're very active on social media. So I'm very excited to learn more about their community as well, because I know one of their top players who used to live in France, and he's very, very good. So it's exciting times for Tekken at the moment.
Man, Tekken is really standing up to that world tour aspect. Really,
it is, man. It's a true world tour, man. It's not just, you know, Europe, America, Asia. Like they're getting involved everywhere, man. We've had you know, the Dubai event was great. We had a South Africa event as well, you know, in 2019, which was the first African event that they've had. So we have it's really making an effort to really put tournaments everywhere to get everyone represented and involved.
Yeah. And you know, it feels weird to segment from such a positive high note to sort of a down slope, but you know, it even came up on another podcast yesterday. Alicia and Cuddlecore were doing their podcast, their Wokecast yesterday, and it even came up during that, which is, you know, you pointed out sort of some sort of racist mindset that you were seeing on Twitter the other day, and it felt personally to me as well that you were getting more slack for pointing out sort of racist rhetoric than the people who, even if it was non-intentional, were being racist. And we've been seeing this sort of a lot. You know, the last time we did an extra battle, we talked about, you know, women in the FGC and how everybody always says, oh, it's not that bad until somebody shares screen caps, and then every other female personality in the FGC shares screen caps, and people go, oh, maybe it is a problem. And then, you know, then people get quiet. Then everybody says something, and then it gets quiet, and then nobody says anything for like 3 months, and then something else happens. You know, we live this sort of up and down. Racism in the FGC is one of those things that we just sort of collectively, I feel like, as a whole, just try to ignore. Because, you know, one of the only things that makes us mainstream, right, is that we're more diverse than the other esports. So, you know, we try to sweep some of the racist stuff that happens in our scene under the rug, because it protects that sort of image that we have, that we're, you know, this big diverse melting pot of a gaming community. What are your...
Yeah, so it's definitely one of the things that makes the FGC so great. If you look at it, man, the diversity. Even just when I'm looking at the commentary, whenever there's any commentary announcements, and you got pictures of all the different commentators that are, like, for example, Evo or something, and you just see the amount of different colors and genders and stuff that you have on it. It's amazing. I love it. That's what makes us special and stand out from the rest. You know, this whole situation. So for me, yeah, you're right. I felt personally that I was getting a lot of flack. So I was careful with my tweet, because I was like, look, at the end of the day, I don't want to judge anyone. I don't want to make a call and say I think you're racist. But when someone says, it's in their blood, it's okay to generalize. They get angry like they're detonating a bomb, towards Muslims, and obviously you know what that means and this kind of stuff. Then that person is clearly racist. It's clearly racist. But the person
you still got to tiptoe around it a bit.
Yeah, that's racist, man. But if you're liking and retweeting those comments, again, I'm not gonna call you out and say that you are being racist, but so my tweet was basically, it was in 3 parts. It was, number 1, don't support racist comments. Number 2, the Pakistanis have shown you a lot of love. And I don't even follow this person, but the only reason that their tweets come up on my timeline is because I always see the Pakistanis that I follow always saying such nice things in the comments. And number 3, just don't be like this person in the picture who's clearly a racist prick. Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't be like. So my thing in summary was, don't support racism. Don't. The Pakistanis love you. And number 3, don't be like this person in the picture. I didn't say you're racist. I didn't condemn this person to being racist. But, a lot of people were saying, basically, this is how I saw it. I saw people saying to me, how dare you say this? You're going to hurt her feelings. That's how I saw it. It's like, Spag, how dare you? And, the thing is, I also feel like the FGC is just an extension of basically just the general public, and to me, I feel like I'm from the UK, I'm from London, Islamophobia and people who are, they hate Muslims and Pakistanis and stuff, it's an issue that isn't taken seriously. Even in the last we had a general election, and they used anti-Semitism as a massive weapon against one of the parties. But when Islamophobia was brought up, it was like swept under. It's not important, whatever. And there's been a lot of Islamophobic attacks, and mainly on women, by the way, because these guys are cowards. They don't stand up to men. They come up to women and they pull their headscarves off and they shout abuse to them. It's been a massive issue, but I feel like in the UK, it's not taken seriously. So for me, I already have this idea of, these people are not taking it seriously when it's a Pakistani that's being made fun of. And all you got to do is go to the archive of the finals, the Tekken World Tour finals, and just see when a Pakistani lost, just see the kind of stuff that they were saying. I was at the finals, so I wasn't in the chat, thankfully. But when I watched the archives, I was like, this is absolutely disgusting. And you don't even get to see all of it because some people that got banned, when you watch an archive, you don't see the banned person's comments. Mm-hmm. So there was way more. And I heard from people, telling me that, Spag, I was watching the stream and there was so many really, really racist comments, that I'm not going to repeat on this stream, against Pakistanis, so and Muslims and stuff, So I think it's a big issue, man. It's just that because Pakistan's recently got onto the map, and because we're not as prominent as maybe the Japanese or Koreans or the Americans and stuff. There's not a lot of us compared to them guys. That is maybe not taken as seriously, but I am, to be honest, if I look at the positives, I am happy with actually the most. The comments were saying, this is wrong. We shouldn't be doing this. This, they were supporting it, but I just can't get my head around the people that were just like, Spag, how dare you? You're gonna hurt her feelings. I mean, I'm not trying to, you can't make me feel bad about this, man. I wasn't even calling the person racist. I was just saying, you don't support this stuff, man. You can't say this, man.
Yeah, so there's 2 parts of what you said. So, like, people who watch the show know that the last time we did an extra battle, it was me and Super Joe Monday talking about how to, like, use moderation tools to make communities more inclusive. That just the simple act of having better moderators on your Twitch streams, like, makes people want to be a part of your Twitch chat, which makes people feel more a part of the community, right? Like, everyone's always like, oh, well, if you don't like the Twitch chat, you can just turn it off.
Yeah.
And that's
bullshit.
And it's like, but what if I do want to be a part of the jokes and the memes and putting the pod chaps in the chat or whatever? Mm-hmm. And hearing what you said, because I watched all of my esports stuff on my big screen TV because I like to ball out like that. So I don't have the Twitch chat on. So like I didn't even know that stuff was going on in the chat when it came to the Pakistani players. But that's similar to what me and Joe were saying about the way women are treated in these Twitch chats. It's like, it's not hard to just ban some phrases. And if you don't know what those phrases are, it's not like there's not an ambassador like yourself, like someone who is of that ethnicity who can be like, hey guys, I'm sure you've got, the N-word and all of this slagged off, but like, here's some stuff that you probably didn't know. Like, just add those to the bannable phrases, right? Like,
yes.
That's not hard. It's a quick conversation. And it's not to, I don't say this to like call out, Bamco or Evo or Capcom fighters. Like, this is not like, oh man, you guys are purposely not doing your job. But like, it's such a small step. Like, you go into your Twitch settings, you go to your moderation tools, you type in some banned phrases. Yeah. It's not like you got to code a program.
It's true, and actually for Tekken's channel, there's not a lot of moderators as well. Most of the people that are modded are just people that are quite prominent in the Tekken community. Then it's not like, okay, we need to mod these people because they're trusted people that watch streams often and can actually do a great job as a moderator. And I feel that's just an issue with Tekken, the channel and how it's run. We just need to get more moderators on that, because I know quite a few people who do a great job modding and did a great job for modding in other streams that were quite big as well. So that's number one. The ban phrases thing is also a great idea. We need that. Obviously, people can work around that, but it's good to actually get these people to have to work around it. And if they do, and then the moderators can do the final job and just get them banned, right? So yeah, you're right. The moderation is a very, very key part, not just for like the big channels like Tekken, even the smaller channels. Like we have the challenger events, which are our ranking events. And I was at one in Germany. Berlin Tekken Clash, and at this tournament, if you think about it, because it was so commentary was done on a couch, right? And in front of us we had 2 monitors, and I never put chat up when I'm commentating. Because I don't like to get distracted. But they put one monitor as the game and they just had it as the chat. One monitor just.
Oh, that sounds so awful.
Yeah, and I was like, this is not a good idea. But I didn't say anything. I was like, this is not gonna. So people can obviously be on camera because the camera's facing us. People can stand behind the couch, right, and get on camera and kind of wave or whatever. We had cosplayers come down, and cosplayers from Poland and one from Germany as well. And these cosplayers were amazing, by the way. They were very amazing cosplayers, all of them. They did. I was actually astounded at how great they were. They were really good. They're having a lot of fun, and they were promoting. Like, they don't get to go out to many events, but this was the one event that they were all really looking forward to and going to. And in one of my breaks, I had like a 5-minute break on commentary. One of the Polish cosplayers came to me and said, "Can I speak to you?" So we went and we spoke, and she basically said that one of the cosplayers is crying right now because of the mean words that she was seeing on the chat when she was on camera. Obviously, because she's behind the couch on camera, and she could see the Twitch chat because it was really big. And they were saying all manners of really, really mean things about all of them, not even just one of them, just all of them. Like, think anything you could think of, they were saying it. It's absolutely like they're gormless, man. They don't give a damn because they have the anonymity of being behind a screen and just not having any consequences. So they were saying all manners of different things. I know that if those people were getting banned, then other people who would say the same thing would think twice about doing it. They'll just be like, okay, I better not say anything, otherwise I'll get banned. So there was no moderation on that chat, and that actively ruined a group of cosplayers who were really looking forward to that event. It ruined their time because, and obviously all of them apart from one were female as well. So you can only imagine the kind of things that they were saying in the chat. So, and I had to go, me and Mihawk, top guy from Germany, we went, backstage and we spoke to this person. So obviously made it feel better, but it shouldn't have happened in the first place. It's moderation needs to definitely be stepped up on a lot of these streams.
Yeah, and and the thing is like the point of Extra Battle is to sort of talk about things that we don't talk about enough in the FGC. We talk about matchups, we talk about the memes, all that stuff. That shit's great. People can go watch Best of 5 or Ultra Chen TV for that stuff. I want to talk about stuff that we're not talking about, and it's the thing that baffles me is that it's all so simple, right? We say like, oh well, it's just a part of being the community, but like it doesn't have to be. right? Like
It
it's
doesn't.
not.
It doesn't. No. No.
Yeah, and the thing is like, people say like, oh, it's the online people, right? All people at a physical event are never like that, and that's not always true either. But how do you join a community, right? You experience it online first, right?
Yeah.
Nobody wakes up one day and like like apple falling from the tree goes, I should go to Evo, right? With no knowledge of fighting games or anything. They just wake up one day and they're like, I must go to Evo. Children of the Corn shit. Like if we build it, they'll come. That's not how shit works. Like you experience a community online, and whatever you experience determines whether or not you're gonna become a part of that community, right?
It's exactly how I started. I started from playing Tekken online, and Tekken Tag 2 was when I met a lot of people online. A lot of players that are now quite prominent in the scene as influencers and as and competitors. One of them was Fergus, who's a 2-time Tekken World Tour Tekken World Tour finalist. Really strong player. But we met each other from just playing an online match in Tag 2. Then we more and more people joined this online community. We had a Skype group and we used to talk every day. Then we finally all met up at a tournament. We decided, let's go to a tournament. We went to a tournament and we've been traveling ever since then. Even till today, we all travel together. But if the online experience was trash, then you wouldn't even want to do that offline, would you? You wouldn't say, oh, let's meet up offline. If everyone's toxic, you'd be like, let me keep this out of my actual life, keep it online,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the thing that's the message I'm trying to get out, is that like if we don't clean up our online shit, whether or not we say it's a small part of the community, it doesn't make. We want new people, right? That's why Bonchan's traveling Japan, right? Going to arcades, That's why Fudo has his FGC school, right? Same thing with like Momochi and Chocoblanca. That's why these people are going out and building up their communities, because you want more people in the scene.
Of course, yeah. It's the way you want to go. You want to grow the community, and a lot of it starts online. People, like you said, you start online. The people like what they see. They see it as friendly, and they're like, this is cool. I want to meet these people offline. I want to go offline and experience the same thing, the same friendliness that I've seen from people online. But if it's all toxic, people won't even want to be involved, especially women, actually. And it's good that you mentioned Alicia and Cuddle, because I watched a bit of their podcast as well, man. It must be tough. I spoke to a girl from the UK as well, Amy. She was saying, because she's a strong player from UK, and she said, it was actually very scary for her to go offline for the first time, and that was without the toxicity. It's already scary for women to go offline. You don't want to make it impossible for them when you're being toxic, and you're going to deter them from going to either more events, if they do go to an event, and just see exactly what people were saying. Anytime a woman goes on the stream setup, you just look at the chat. It's so bad. It's so bad. And I can only imagine that these people just will say, like, I don't want to be on stream anymore. I'm not going to go to any more tournaments. I'm sure, because it's definitely pretty hostile online.
Yeah, and getting back to sort of the racism aspect, I think one of the things that people, I'll put it this way. So I'm fortunate enough that as far as like my esports personality self goes, I don't experience a lot of racism, and I think that's because my transness sort of pulls all the vitriol first, and then people are like, all right, whatever, he's black too. I don't care. Let's make all the trans jokes. But one of the things that a lot of people always say to me when I point out some of the stuff that I hear on Twitter or on a YouTube comment is, why give that attention? Why give that power? Why, just ignore it? And sort of the same thing that I saw in some of the comments that you were getting for, pointing out sort of racist language is people saying, well, you don't have to point this out, right? Like, you can just let it exist, it's only one person. What people don't realize is that the only way you can improve things is by showing that it exists, right? If you have a leaky faucet and you never hear it drip, right? It leaks at night, you're passed out, you don't know it's leaking, then you can't fix the faucet, right? Because you just don't know it's an issue. Absolutely, the second your roommate comes up to you and is like, hey, did you know our faucet leaks, and that's what's causing us, a little bit of like a financial problem because, we're paying more on our water bill. Then you're like, oh, snap, I didn't know our faucet leaks. You can go to your landlord, you can get a plumber, you can get it fixed, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing with this type of language, you know, transphobic language, racist language, sexist language. If you don't point it out and you don't show that it's a problem, because people like to think that like racism doesn't exist in 2020, right? You see that a lot. You know, it's 2020. We're beyond racism, and like 80% of the people that say that are white. So you know.
It's funny you said that, because I was talking to a mate as well, and they were saying that, you know, most people that are saying, you know, it's, you know, you didn't have to do this, or there's no racism, and usually they haven't actually experienced racism themselves. If they haven't experienced it themselves, they won't know how serious it is or how it makes you feel to be racially discriminated, and have people say really mean things, like what was said in the tweet that I posted is not something that is localized. It's not just one person. A lot of people say this, you know, and even if you just look in the replies that I got, and there were people being racist in the replies, you know, people posting memes about Muslims being terrorists, and one guy, he was like, oh, I disagree with you, Spag, and I looked at his Twitter, and it's full of anti-Islam bullshit, like anti-Muslims and anti this and that, and I was like, okay, well, these are the kind of people that are saying, hey, Spag, you shouldn't have said this, you should have considered someone's feelings, instead of actually pointing out the fact that there's an issue in the community of, and you know, there's not a lot of people who are Pakistani that have a platform. Yeah, and that's why I used my platform to push out Arslan. Before anyone knew who he was, I had a platform, and I said, I'm going to push this guy out. I'm going to help him, because he asked me, I need help to get to Evo Japan. I'm going to help him. I'm not going to say no. He's a person from my origin country. I want to help him. And now, with the racism that Pakistanis are experiencing, unfortunately, for some reason, when Pakistanis on Twitter, when they get shit on, they're very apologetic. They don't like to fight back and say, no, this is unacceptable. They like to say, sorry. It's a trend that I've been seeing a lot. So this is one of the also another reason why I was like, no, don't be like this. If someone's being unreasonable to you, you're allowed to say that it's unreasonable. You don't have to apologize. So I was like, no, this is unreasonable, especially to someone who gets so much love from Pakistanis, from what I've seen and from what a lot of other people have seen. All of a sudden, you get a couple bad comments, and you start to shit on this community that shows you love. And I was like, that's bullshit. So I'm like, you know, I'm not going to call you a racist, but you should not be liking this stuff. And this is wrong. And the Pakistanis were like, you know what? Spag's right. It is wrong. And I am a sort of community figure for Pakistanis. And, you know, I've been to Pakistan and met all the guys. So they kind of listen to me, and they respect what I say. So that's why I was like, you know what, this needs to be outlined, not only for the people that don't know that it exists, but for the Pakistanis as well, to say, you know what, it's okay to say that this is wrong. That, you know, it's not okay for people to be racist, basically.
Yeah, and it's not funny. What you said is one of the reasons. So I mentor a lot of queer youth in my area. Like, I go to elementary schools and middle schools, and I talk to younger queer kids. You know, give them a role model of somebody, and also they like meeting somebody who works in gaming. So they're like, oh man, I can do that. That's so sick. And one of the kids, when I went and spoke to a middle school a couple weeks ago, and they said, you know, how do you deal with online harassment? And I was like, you gotta clap back sometimes. You gotta stand up for yourself, because you have to think, if you're getting harassment, then that means that you're somewhat visible, which means other people are going to see how you respond to it. And so if you don't respond to it, then it tells people, oh, well, I guess I just have to accept this and roll over and let it happen. Yeah. But if you respond to it, it shows people, they like, oh, look, you know, Amanda stood up to that transphobic comment, or Spag, you know, stood up to that racism. I can do that too, because they did it, right? Like, it's important that people realize that, like, sometimes it's not about doing it for you, right? It's not like, oh man, Spag is doing this for some clout, or, you know, to be, you know, Spag's trying to be political. Sometimes it's about, like, standing up for people who also see that stuff, and they're like, I probably shouldn't say anything. Like, yeah, exactly. Like,
I'm not gonna lie. I was first of all, I wasn't hoping that it blew up. I honestly, if I had the choice, I would hope that it didn't blow up as much as it did, and I was just able to get the point across. And number two, I was actually scared of posting it, because I was like, damn, you know, me as a think about it. Me as a commentator
Mm-hmm.
that is lucky enough to be doing master events and doing this and that, and just being me and having a good time. I could very easily have just not wrote that at all, and no one would be hating on me, and I could just get on with my life. I mean, that's the easy way, and that's a lot of people do that. People who have a voice, they just be like, I don't want to deal with any of this drama because people are going to start hating on me and this and that. I didn't want it either. I didn't want drama, but with all the things that I just spoke about, I was saying, look, I have to say something, man. I have to say, this is such an unreasonable situation for so many reasons. I have to say something, and it did blow up. It did, and I was surprised. I will say I was surprised about the amount of people that were kind of giving me flack, but it is what it is, man. I just gotta affirm it. To be honest, I don't know. I mean, I do have thick skin. I feel like, and it's grown thicker as time has gone on. More and more as I've been a commentator in this community. A lot just with the sunglasses, man. People shit on me for that.
I mean, I even before the show, I was like, man, the sunglasses are a full-time thing. Like,
yeah, so I've got to have thick skin. But yeah, it is what it is, man. Some people just don't understand. They won't, and I got to accept that. These people just won't understand why it's not right to say that, and why it was okay for me to kind of come out and be like, this is not right. And they'll keep on saying that, you attacked someone for no reason. I didn't attack anyone, man. I just try to say, don't do this and don't support this because it's not right. That's it.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, obviously I don't think there's anything wrong with what you did. I think it's, like I said, I don't have nearly as big as a platform as you do, and I still try to use it for the right reasons. Because what's the point of having a platform if you don't use it?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, try to use the power for good, not for evil.
Yeah, that's all I've tried to do. Use it to push out the Pakistani scene, other scenes that are trying to get recognition for Tekken. Promote tournaments and just try to grow Tekken. That's what I'm trying to do. And people have seen that. People have seen that, and they've been like, Spag, thank you for all the stuff that you do for Tekken community. I'm very passionate about Tekken community. But then sometimes, I gotta take more of an, because I like to keep my Twitter and my platform to be positive. But then sometimes, of course, you have to go negative. You have to start talking about the negative things as well, even if.
So the thing is, so I don't like that though. I don't like saying so. For example, when I was on Cheddar Esports recently, I got an opportunity to talk about some not good things that have happened at Evo last year. While we were talking about the reveal show, I called out Evo and said, "Hey, you guys didn't talk about the sexual assault at the after party. You guys didn't talk about the infiltration tweet. A lot of people, when you asked for questions for the reveal show, asked about that, and you guys kind of just pretended nothing bad happened." And
yeah, I think it's easy. It's easier to do that, right? It's easier to just brush it under the carpet.
Yeah, and a lot of people in the chat were like, "Well, why are you making something political?" And it's like, it's not political. Like, I want to go to a tournament and not worry about my friends potentially getting roofied, right? Yeah. Like, I want to go to a tournament and know that, like, people feel safe, right? Like, that's not a political statement.
No.
And I think pointing out racism isn't a political statement. It's not being negative. Like, the more I've become a personality, the more I've started to rail against this mentality. There's a difference between being negative, right? Like, oh, my fucking day sucks, and fuck people in trucks and taking up an entire lane, or some nonsense like that. Fuck the people that lay out on the subway train. Like, yeah. I understand that, like, that's maybe some shit you want to keep off your Twitter. You want to be positive. I don't think pointing out something that needs to be improved upon is like negative. And I think a lot of the times we conflate as personalities rocking the boat as negative, right? Like, we can't say anything that that's like I'm trying not to trip over my words here. It's this idea that if we say anything that's sort of slightly against the grain, then we're no longer being positive people.
Right. Okay. Now I can see what you're saying. Like, if if you take a side in a debate which clearly has two sides, where you know you don't want to get into that, it'll become controversial if you say something, and people who are personalities will tend to stay away from that because they'll start getting people that legitimately will just hate on them for their opinion, and they're like, we didn't ask for your opinion, and your opinion is stupid, you're an idiot, I don't like you anymore. And that's kind of what people are scared of, you know. And even with this situation that I did, you know, there were people that were just, you know, saying, oh, you know, fuck that, I don't like Spag anymore. Spag, I don't like him. Is this stupid? He's stupid. And you know, I'm not even gonna I'm not even gonna go on Reddit. I'm not gonna go. They made a thread about it on that, and I'm staying away from that because I already know what they're saying. I'm not gonna touch that at all. But that's, I think, what people are scared of who are personalities. They're like, I'm not gonna touch it, man, because if I do, I'm getting myself into controversy, and there's gonna be two different sides, maybe even more. And if I take a side here, unless it's very, very necessary, I'm not going to do it because people are going to start, you know, shitting on me. And I think that's the thing with the Evo thing. I think, yeah, it's not good to not mention it, because for them they'll be like, well, if we address it, then it's going to be kind of an admission that it is an issue. They don't want to admit that it's an issue. Probably, I don't know, but I think it would have been nice to just say, you know, oh yeah, so we have taken countermeasures to make sure that this kind of stuff
that's all I wanted happen. I didn't want them to be like, I didn't want an apology. I mean, an apology would have been dope, but like, I wasn't expecting an apology, literally. And this was something somebody said in my comments on my Twitter thread about it, is like, I would have, all I wanted was, we know some things happened last year that were not great and made people feel unsafe at the event. We've heard you, and we're going to do everything we can to make Evo the safe, great event that you guys have come to expect, right? That's all that could have been said. You don't have to mention anything in specifically, right? You can just say, we hear you, we understand that, you know, some things were not great, and we're going to make it great. We're going to try to make, you know, Evo great again or something, right? Like, just make people feel like their concerns are heard, right? That's all people want. A lot of the time, right? Is you want to feel like you're heard, you want to feel like your concerns are being taken seriously. You know, I mean, like, because it's so weird to me that, and I could get from a PR situation why they just were like, nope, we're just not gonna talk about it. But like, I don't know, it's funny.
But you don't really need to speak about. Yeah,
specifics.
You don't really need to speak this, but yeah, you don't need to speak about specifics. You know, even just saying, look, we've heard you. Like, I'll make an example of like this whole thing that happened with Leroy. You know, Leroy in Tekken. You know, you must have seen it. I
mean, I'm not a Tekken noob. I do watch a lot of Tekken. It's just that like my introduction to the FGC as like something more than like the video games I was playing, because I've always been a big fighting fan. Was actually Marvel. And then when I ran out of Marvel YouTube videos to watch for Marvel 3, a lot of these Marvel players were playing Street Fighter 4. Okay. So I was like, oh, Justin plays Street Fighter, you know, PR Rog plays Street Fighter, F-Champ plays Street Fighter. I guess Street Fighter's also dope. None of these cats were also playing Tekken, so I was just like, I guess Tekken's whack.
Yeah.
No offense or anything. But I heard about, you know, good ass Leroy, you know, Leroy 7.
Yeah, you saw it. Evo Japan, about 80% of the players were playing Leroy. That character was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Like there was no counter to him. You know, it was just like he's a walking 50-50, and you know his risk reward was so insane. It's like he takes no risk, but he gets huge reward on everything that he does, and you just got to keep holding everything that he does. This character was so dumb, but when people were kind of complaining, like, oh, you know, this character is not good. You know, they just wanted, people were getting really angry, of course, naturally, right? But they just kind of wanted someone to higher up to say, we've heard you. And at the end, you know, Michael Murray did it. You know, he said, I've heard you. And that's all it took for people to say, oh, okay.
All right, cool. He's sick. Yeah. Maybe we'll get some Leroy nerfs.
Yeah, exactly. So everyone just stopped bitching after he was like, I've heard you guys, you know.
Enough. You guys were loud enough.
Yeah, you're not shouting into the void. It's gone through into my ears, and you know I've heard you. And then people trusted that okay, they're gonna do the right thing. They're gonna be what they're gonna do is sufficient. And I think that's it. If you know, that's sometimes all that's required. You don't need to talk about specifics. All you gotta do is just say, look, we've heard you, and that's enough sometimes.
Yep, I definitely agree. I mean, I'm sad that Leroy's no longer reparations, and that's what I was calling Leroy the whole tournament. I was like, man, you know, Mamco felt bad that like we didn't get our 40 acres and a mule, so they made Leroy.
Dude, Leroy is still really good though. People are gonna see Leroy is very, very good still. So I expect to see some Leroy action in. But the thing is, with Leroy, it's like I felt that you had, in order to get people to not bitch about Leroy, because people are still going to bitch about Leroy. Every time they see this character, they're going to have post-traumatic stress. And they're just going to be like, fuck Leroy. Da, 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 da. They're gonna go ham when they see him on Tekken World Tour. But the only way to prevent that, I felt, was to just destroy him, break his legs, take his chain away.
No, you know, don't.
That was the only way.
Don't nash him. Do not nash him. I've never seen a fighting game character get their kneecaps broken as hard as Nash did. So
what happened to Nash?
So Nash in season 1 was similar to Leroy. There were so many people playing him. He was so good. His critical art did enough damage that like you could open a round with critical art and have like, I think it was like a 40% life lead. Yeah, it was silly. His V reversal was a teleport that let you like be like half a screen away. Like it was all silly shit. So
pros playing Nash then, like
just
switched to him.
Yeah, people were just playing Nash to play because like he was so good. Okay. Nash and Chun were just so good that they basically broke Nash's kneecaps. Like they took Nash behind the shed and was like, "You owe us some money," and they just like hit him repeatedly with a metal bat in the kneecaps. His V reversal didn't teleport him as far away. His critical art did less damage. He did less damage. Right. Literally, the only person that was playing him for a while was Bonchan. Like he was called the last Nash, all through season 2, and then he had to give up on Nash 2. He became a Karen player. He joined the Karen army.
Oh damn! I know about that. Yeah. Okay.
Karen, yeah. So like you know, I don't want somebody else getting kneecap. It's not
getting nashed.
Nashed.
But what happened with Nash then? Because I'm assuming that people in Street Fighter community were complaining about him, and when Nash was on screen on Twitch, I'm guessing on stream they would just complain about him. Like,
So everybody's happy because they don't have to see Nash, but now we have Rashid and Karen. So like it's an ever evolving problem, right? It's the same thing in Tekken, right? Eventually, you know, there was that point where Shaheen was so good, and everybody was complaining about him, and now he's not as good. Everybody's complaining about Akuma, so they did some Akuma nerfs. Then it's Leroy. You know,
yeah, it's always going to be someone.
There's always going to be somebody. Everyone's going to be like, yo, this character is stupid.
I'm telling you, the next character is going to be Zafina. So I'm saying it here on record. This next character everyone's going to complain about is Zafina. People do not know how dumb that character is. But yeah, I felt like the only way people were going to not complain about Leroy this coming season of Tekken World Tour is to just break his kneecaps. But I feel like because he's still good, he's still decent. Like I'd say like upper. He's pretty good in the tier list. That people are gonna still complain whenever they see Leroy. This is the Leroy we should have had in release, and no one will complain. But with Leroy and all that shit that happened in Evo Japan, everyone's gonna complain about him still. So I'm not touching Leroy. I'm gonna,
I'm a filthy Leroy main now. So like it's okay. I was playing Armor King and I was struggling, and then I watched Evo Japan. And I said, man, I'm playing the wrong character. It's time to join. Yo, you know what? Look. I don't tier chase in every game, but I struggle in Tekken. So like, I'll chase whatever tier,
whatever makes it easier. Man.
Whatever makes it easier.
What do you feel about Tekken? Because it is like you said, you don't get players really switching from like you said Marvel, and then you had Justin and Balrog, and they were playing Street Fighter as well. You don't get that for people playing Tekken. You don't really get like people from 2D going over to 3D as often. But what's your experience been with Tekken?
I love Tekken, but I've been a SoulCal player since SoulCal.
Oh, okay.
Since Streamcast days. I tore my ACL in elementary school playing soccer, football. Play some football. So I had a Dreamcast in my room, and I had 2 games: Sonic Adventure and Soul Calibur.
Oh wow.
And once I beat Sonic Adventure, I was like, well, I got Soul Calibur. I like fighting games, so I'll play Soul Calibur. I like would just sit and play Mitsurugi on like the hardest difficulty all day, every day. I went to like our local arcade that was at like a restaurant, and you know, the same story everybody has, right? You get a couple quarters, your parents are like, go, shut up, here's some quarters, like go play video games. Yeah. And then you know, I was just beating kids with Mitsurugi and Maxi. And I've been a diehard Soul Calibur fan ever since. So like on the base level, like movement in Tekken wasn't too hard for me.
Okay.
So because like I had some of the similar movement aspects from Soul Calibur. I started as a Yoshi player in Tekken because we had him in SoCal.
Soul Calibur, yeah.
So I had, you know, that was my easy transition. And then I remember that I used to play Tekken 3 and I used to play Eddie. But by then, I had already been watching high-level Tekken, and I was like, well, I can't do what fucking Jean Ding does, so, like, maybe I should just, like, not play this character.
Right?
Like, you watch a pro play your character after you've, like, never watched anybody play, like, at a high level, and then you watch a pro play, and you're like, oh, you see what... you see what happened was... it's like the first time I saw people play Marvel 3, like, at, like, the highest level. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm not that good. Like, shit.
Yeah, I'm good, but I ain't that, man. Yeah.
Because what happened was a kid came to, like, our hangout spot on campus, and, like, one had a fight stick, and I was like, I didn't know anybody who had a fight stick at that point. I was like, oh, shit, this kid has a fight stick. He's the real deal.
That's gonna be next levels, yeah.
Right, and then, like, he was playing, like, all the tier, like, teams. He was, like, playing Zero May Cry, and fucking Chris G's team, and I'm sitting here trying my damnedest to like not look like a fool because like I was the fighting game person, so like everyone's like, oh, Amanda's getting her ass kicked, and I was like, look, this is some cheating bullshit. This is some cheating bullshit. What do you lightning loops? I don't fucking know. First time I ever threw my controller. So mad.
That one experience. Everyone gets that like one experience, which kind of tells them, damn, I need to. Mine was like Tekken 6. I thought I was so sick because I was only online player. I didn't know about no offline scene. I was like, oh, I'm the best. I'm Eddie. Play Eddie and do slippery kicks. I'm the best. I can just grab people. I went offline in my first tournament. I did slippery kicks. People blocked that shit. I was like, this ain't work. Went swiftly 0-2, and I decided, okay, I need to learn this game.
But at least it didn't happen in front of your friends.
That's true. I was on my own. No one.
Yeah, no, my friends, they got to experience like that like transcendent joy of watching the person that always makes them look stupid look hella stupid. Like I got perfected like 7 times in a row, Spag. I don't think you understand.
Yeah, the fight stick is cheating.
Yo, pad for life. Pad for life.
Yeah, pad for life, man. Yeah.
Are you also a pad player?
I am. Most people in Europe actually play pad. For Tekken at least. I don't know about Street Fighter. Well, even Street Fighter, if you look at like Problem X and these guys, and even what's his name? The Norwegian.
Oh, Phenom?
Phenom, yeah. So he plays pad as well, I believe. A lot of people in Europe. I think like fight sticks were hard to get in Europe. That's the thing. I remember when I really wanted one back in Tag 2, and I was like, where do I buy one? You know, so I feel like that's the thing. So unless you can be a tryhard and get the Itoki sticks from Korea, but that's going to cost you like $300, $400. That's only if you're a tryhard, man. You want to get that Itoki stick. But now it's obviously with Combo and all them companies, easier to get. But I mean, most people, because of the legacy, and people just play pad.
All right. Well, at least I'm glad I made you. We're wrapping up this episode on the lighthearted note of everybody laughing at my pain. You know, that's what I want to be known for. You know, the person who just got blown up 7 perfects in a row. You know, shit. And you know what's so bad is like my friends will bring it up. Like we'll get together because like we're not in college anymore, so sometimes we'll get together in like the city. And I'm like, yo, y'all remember that time that kid showed up in Nerd Circle and beat Amanda 7 times in a row? And I'm like,
damn. They're still talking about it.
I'm like, damn! They're like, don't you work in esports? How many times have you played pros? And I'm like, never, because I don't want that experience again. I'm good. Like, people be like, oh, you cover fighting games, so you must be good. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I had the one experience, and I just never again.
Never again.
All the confidence was just gone. It was a life-changing experience. But Spag, it's been great having you on. Where can people find you on the internet?
Yeah, at SpaghettiRip on Twitch. Sorry, at Spag_TK on Twitch and on SpaghettiRip on Twitter.
Before we cancel this, you brought up that you have always thought about changing your name, but you can't anymore because you're SpaghettiRip now. If you had a moment to go back in time and never make your handle SpaghettiRip, what would it be? Like that's a really good question. So like some Terminator shit, right? Like you pop up in front of yourself butt ass naked and you're like, know me.
That's a really good question, but you know what's crazy is that I picked the name SpaghettiRip as a placeholder until I thought of an actual name.
And you've just never thought of a new one?
And I just have never thought of it. It's too late. Like I said, it's too late. I can't. I'm known. I'm SpaghettiRip. Even the people in Tekken 7 who know me as Spag, because I shortened it to Spag, and that Tekken World Tour, the people from Tag 2, they still call me SpaghettiRip. Every time Aris sees me, I'm SpaghettiRip. Anytime Rip sees, I'm SpaghettiRip. It's always gonna stay with me now. So it's too late, and I haven't thought of one.
Oh man,
I'm open to suggestions though.
Yo, so anybody who comments on this episode, let's come up with some new names for SpaghettiRip. Hopefully we can do things better. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I really, really appreciate it.
And you guys, you know how we do. Until next time, go beyond, plus ultra, and peace.